This is a story about how Fremont, a little town in New Hampshire, purchased 76 acres of vegetated, undeveloped land for conservation from Richard and Robert Smith. Why are we celebrating these 76 acres? This land is adjacent to Spruce Swamp, a 711-acre wetland complex known as a fen. A fen is a type of wetland. Spruce Swamp is the largest pristine wetland in southeastern New Hampshire. The land abuts and has been added to Fremont's Glen Oaks Town Forest. For more than 250 years, the fen has been treasured by Fremonters and others because it has protected our natural resources, given us food and water, and has been enjoyed by so many people. People have harvested food by hunting and picking berries. They have hiked there and been refreshed, inspired, and invigorated by its beauty. Our town has permanently protected the land with a conservation easement, ensuring that the area will remain in its natural state. In addition to having local conservation value, this purchased land also has regional and federal conservation value. The Smith land is protecting a large wetland that helps to filter water that flows into the Exeter River and then into the federally protected Great Bay Estuary. We hope that our story will inspire you to become part of a similar conservation project and remain enthusiastic and motivated as you encounter some bumps in the road. Why is it critical to preserve this wetland now? The land is in a very prime location. It's near the urban centers of Portsmouth, Manchester, and Boston. It's close to the coast and had caught the eye of developers and conservationists alike. This area, southeastern New Hampshire, is the fastest growing area in the state. New Hampshire is the fastest growing state in the Northeast. Researchers are predicting that in 25 years it will be completely built out. If this prediction's true, any land that has not been conserved by then will be developed. Protecting Spruce Swamp by conserving the land around it is one of the highest priorities for the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests. To this end, a land protection specialist from the Forest Society approached the Smith brothers, the owners of the property. The Smiths wanted to sell their land and hoped that it could be sold for conservation rather than developed. The Forest Society felt the land would be best served if it was owned by the Town of Fremont and managed by the Conservation Commission. When approached by the Forest Society, the Commission, who also has the protection of Spruce Swamp as one of their highest priorities, was very interested in the project. Everyone was in agreement that the land needed to be conserved. The Vice Chair of the Conservation Commission, Janice O'Brien, became the liaison among the Commission, the Forest Society, and the landowners. Having the town buy the land and put it in conservation was dependent on its ability to raise money to complete the purchase and put an easement on the property. Finding funding was difficult. Land here is expensive because of Fremont's prime geographic location. Fremont is a town of about 4,400 people, and that includes the 22% increase in population between 2000 and 2010. The tax base is small. It took 7 years for the final agreement to be completed, the funds raised, and the property and easement acquired. Everyone worked together to enable the purchase of the Smith land by the town. This included the patient landowners, the Smiths, who turned down offers from developers, hoping the town would raise money to buy and conserve their land. It also included the Forest Society, the Conservation Commission, the chair of the Open Space Committee, and the Fremont Selectmen. As an added benefit, when the Southeast Land Trust saw that Fremont was committed to protecting the land around Spruce Swamp, they purchased an additional 120 acres on the northern boundary of the Smith property and adjacent to Spruce Swamp. They too know the importance of protecting this beautiful, fragile fen. Protecting Spruce Swamp is important because in addition to being the largest wetland in southeastern New Hampshire, it is highly functional, meaning that it is in pristine condition and as such provides benefits to humans, animals, and plants. What benefits can a soggy, spongy wetland provide to us? It protects water resources, including their quality and quantity. It produces oxygen that we breathe and removes carbon dioxide from the air. The plants in wetlands like Spruce Swamp filter out and absorb pollutants from the water that flows through them. Conserving the land surrounding Spruce Swamp rather than developing it prevents new pollution from fertilizers, salt, pesticides, herbicides, gasoline, and more from being carried into the swamp by fast-moving water from the roofs, roads, and other man-made surfaces that are part of development. The cost of building, maintaining, and using a water filtration plant is much greater than preserving the wetland that does it for free. Because of Spruce Swamp, the Exeter River flows downstream into the Great Bay Estuary, carrying fewer pollutants. Water flowing through Spruce Swamp is slowed down by thick vegetation. Part of it then soaks into the ground and helps to recharge the groundwater, including that used by the 476 wells that are in an area a mile wide surrounding Spruce Swamp. During periods of wet weather, water is stored by the wetland and then slowly released to the rivers, helping to prevent flooding. Conserving land adjacent to the wetland maintains the wetland's hydrology, including the distribution, movement, quality, and sustainability of the water resources. Spruce Swamp and the Smith property have many different habitats. Some of these represent the highest quality of habitat in New Hampshire. These rich habitats enable endangered, threatened, and species of concern to thrive there. Large forested areas that are not separated by major roads give animals like moose, coyote, and bobcat the space they need to spread out and survive. Spruce Swamp has rare natural community. A natural community is characterized by three attributes: a definitive group of plants and animals and other species such as fungi and bacteria, specific physical conditions such as light, bedrock, elevation, and climate, the natural variable processes that affect the living things in the wetlands such as water availability, flow, drainage, the sustainability of minerals in the water and soil, erosion, and beaver activity. The features of a natural community determine the animals and plants and other organisms that can live there. Examples of natural communities in Spruce Swamp include a medium-level fen system, a sweet pepper bush wooded fen, and a poor-level fen bog system. As a wetland greater than 2 acres, Spruce Swamp is already protected by wetland legislation. In reality, however, a wetland needs the surrounding area to be protected as well for the wetland to remain healthy. The land was owned by the Smith family for 150 years, and in that time only small amounts of firewood was taken from the forest. Before that, the land was used for pastures and vegetable gardens, as evidenced by the areas enclosed with rock walls that protected animals and gardens. The Smith property was officially added to our Glen Oaks Town Forest last spring by town vote, making the forest 388 acres. Having a place for people to visit, hike, cross-country ski, snowshoe, geocache, and attend programs and events for adults and kids alike helps to increase the property values of the surrounding area and to improve the local economy. The opportunities for low-impact recreation bring people into the area, and these folks support Fremont businesses. The hikers may stop at the Poplin Cafe for breakfast, have pizza at the Fremont Pizzeria for a late lunch or an early dinner, enjoy a cone for dessert at Stillwell's Country Ice Cream, and stop at the village market for milk, bread, and to fill their gas tanks. Now it's time to head home and relax. Current and future Fremont residents, their families, and people from the surrounding communities will enjoy this land in perpetuity. What have we accomplished? We've conserved 76 acres of an upland buffer to Spruce Swamp. We've protected this land with a conservation easement held by the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests. We've protected the rich, diverse habitats in and around the swamp, including large areas of undisturbed forests, marshes, shrub-scrub wetlands, and peatlands. We've protected the plants and wildlife that live in and around Spruce Swamp, including endangered, threatened, and species of concern. We've protected water quality and quantity and the water dynamics of the swamp. We've prevented more nitrogen from being carried into the Exeter River and then on to Great Bay. We've enlarged our town forest, which provides a place for low-impact recreation. These activities bring visitors that will support Fremont businesses. The Fremont Conservation Commission will manage this land using the Glen Oaks Forest and Wildlife Management Plan. Their ultimate objective is to improve the health of the forest while creating a balance between nature and low-impact recreation. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has estimated that 43% of U.S. endangered and threatened species live in or use wetlands. Over 50% of U.S. wetlands have been lost since the 1700s. We appreciate the generous support of our grantors. Their generous support made this project possible, and we thank you. Thanks to everyone who assisted with getting the project done, and thanks to the audience for your interest. Best wishes for success with a conservation project of your own.